As you know, Trump met with Zelensky today. Today is Friday, October 17th. And literally a minute after they were finally out of the last meeting, the meeting behind closed doors, Greg Terry and I were doing a video covering all the events from the open air lunch where they had some discussion. You can go back a video if you want to see a comprehensive review of that. Since that time, what's happened here is that Zelensky came out and said, we spoke about long-range missiles. They did speak about long-range missiles. So Zelensky is confirming that they did have one-on-one missile talks between them. That is confirmed, but he won't say more. We decided that we won't speak about it because, you know, the United States doesn't want escalation. Okay. And then from Ukrainian news sources, Greg sent me this. We saw this. Trump and I have decided that for now, we will not publicly talk about long-range missiles. That they have talked about it, but they will not publicly talk about it. The U.S. does not want escalation. And some more to this, we talked with Trump about security guarantees. We decided that we will work on more weapons production. The U.S. and Ukraine, together with other countries, will work on the logistics of future supplies. We trust the U.S. and Trump because he wants to put an end to this war. We hate the enemy. The issue of territories is very sensitive, the most difficult. Russia wanted to occupy all of Ukraine, but my position is let's first agree on a ceasefire to sit down at a negotiating table, and that's what Trump was pushing him to do all along, so it's a position he can stand on. I did not discuss with Trump the issue of Ukrainian strikes on targets in the territory of Russia, so he's confirming that they did not talk about that. And he said, finally, Putin hates me. It would be strange if, when they want to kill us all, I had a different attitude toward this person. Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? All right. So with that being said, let's look at this. This was Truth Social. Trump saying this. The meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine was very interesting and cordial, but I told him, as I likewise strongly suggested to President Putin, that it is time to stop the killing and make a deal. Enough blood has been shed with property lines being defined by war and guts. They should stop where they are. Let them both claim victory. Let history decide. No more shooting, no more death, no more vast and unsustainable sums of money spent. This is a war that would have never started if I were president. Thousands of people being slaughtered each and every week. No more. Go home to your families in peace. Great. Go home to your families. I can get right behind that. Go home to your families. But if they go home, that means Russia is getting out of Ukraine. Like, that's the reality here. Okay. So now let's talk about a little quick play-by-play and then some other stories. So President Trump welcomes Zelensky at the White House. President Trump, do you believe that you can convince Putin to stop the war? And he said, yep, I think I can. Yep. Okay. Trump is no longer assured that Ukraine will return to its 1991 borders. When asked by a reporter, do you still believe that Ukraine can regain all of its lost territories? He replied, who knows? But that's not really a bad thing. I mean, compared to he was ready to give away the store back when he was meeting with Putin in Alaska. So I'm not sure that this is a terrible position for him to be staking out. It might be an improvement. The U.S. president opened his lunch with Zelensky and said, it's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot and a man who I've gotten to know very well. Okay, so it was cordial enough. And then Zelensky said to President Trump, I think that, yes, we understand that Putin is not ready. Let's just listen to Zelensky here.
Glad to meet you again, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did it. And I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that, yes, we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war, and we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses and in economy and people, and I think this is very important moment. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, he was getting his message across, and that was good. In the last video, I talked about, like, he put on a master class of dodging dangerous questions and making sure that he was getting his message out. And you can go back and see that if you want. I don't like the idea of building a tunnel between Alaska and Russia, Zelensky told Trump. This is after Trump was asked about the proposed tunnel in the Bering Strait between Russia and Alaska. He said, well, it's an interesting idea. And he said, well, what does Zelensky think about it? Zelensky's like, I don't like it. I don't blame him. Okay, now let's turn our attention to just a summary of some of the things. The Budapest meeting that is being proposed will only be with Putin. Putin doesn't want to meet with Zelensky, but Zelensky will be kept informed. Okay, so this would be Trump and Putin in Budapest, kind of supporting Orban in the process. Second, we hope to end the war without using Tomahawks, Trump said. We're very close to that. I don't think they're very close to it myself. That's my read of it, but that's a way of stepping around the issues. When asked whether Ukraine will be allowed to strike Russia, Trump replied, yes, we'll talk about it. Okay, so yeah. And then Zelensky said, if you want to hit a military target, you need hundreds of drones together with Tomahawks. We have drones, but not the Tomahawks. And then he went on to say essentially that the U.S. can have our drones if they want them. Like, let's trade. Let's work this out. So it was a really good time that Zelensky spent there doing what he was doing. Zelensky proposed a business swap to Trump. You give us Tomahawks, we give you drones, we strengthen each other. So there was that. Okay. And then we saw closed door talks between Trump and Zelensky have begun. The press has left the room. And that is where we're picking up where Zelensky came out and made that statement afterwards about, we're not going to discuss. We made an agreement not to discuss it. Hopefully they won't need it again. Hopefully they'll be able to have the war over without the Tomahawks. I just don't. Yeah, okay, it's just a way of getting around that. But the range of the Tomahawks missiles, man, that would change things significantly for the kind of dilemmas that Russia would have to face. I saw this and I thought it's pretty funny. Yaroslav Trofimov said Zelensky staying quiet as Trump went on and on about Russia, didn't take Kyiv in 2022 because of mud and javelins, must have required superhuman effort. Not going to lie. That's what NGL means. It means not going to lie. Yeah, that's, I'm sure it took superhuman effort. And then there was this comment as well that I want to address. After the war, Ilya Pomenarenko said, after the war, Zelensky will write a book about how he managed to keep his ironclad composure without punching anyone in the face with those questions, and it'll sell millions of copies. I bet it will. I mean, I can only imagine it will sell millions of copies. Okay, let's turn our attention to some other news. Finland will deliver a new military package for Ukraine worth $60.8 million. President Alexander Stubb approved Finland's 30th military aid package on October 17th, 2025. And then we saw this. Russians only get on their knees to tie their shoelaces, says Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico. The West's plan to bring Russia to its knees through Ukraine has failed. And Boris Johnson personally pushed Kyiv to reject a peace deal after pocketing cash from an arms businessman. Okay, so let's talk about this last thing, that Boris Johnson pushed Kyiv to reject a peace deal. It was not a peace deal. It was a slavery deal. I mean, if you wanted to call it that he pushed Ukraine not to accept a slavery deal, okay, that's fair. But this idea that they only get on their knees to tie their shoelaces, and yet, okay, that's big talk, but yet Slovakia just passed this deal. It's going to transfer energy equipment worth $545,000 to Ukraine to provide additional $327 on top of that for school shelters in frontline areas. Okay, I mean, like, you can say what you want, but they're kind of hedging their bets and providing something of value, almost not quite $1 million, almost upwards of $1 million to Ukraine. So thank you to Slovakia. I didn't think I'd hear myself saying that, but okay. Canada is ready to shoot down Russian aircraft in the event of further violations of NATO airspace, said the country's Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Okay, it's not likely that those planes are going to be over Canada, but I mean, it's easy to talk when you're farther away from the thing, but okay, and that's a good position to stake out. Hungary says Putin won't be arrested under the International Criminal Court warrant if he comes to Budapest for a meeting with Donald Trump. But wait a minute, isn't Putin isn't there a warrant out for Putin? Yes. Isn't Hungary subscribed to the Rome Statute? Yes. So what's going on? Quote, we will welcome Vladimir Putin and ensure his safety, said Foreign Minister Szijjártó. Although Hungary has formally ratified the Rome Statute, its government has already announced plans to withdraw from ICC jurisdiction, though the decision will only take effect in 2026. That still, if they went to January 1st and did that, okay. But they're going to do this before January 1st, and they're just kind of thumbing their nose at international law. Until then, it's still legally bound to comply with the court's rulings. Now, how is Putin going to get there? Well, there is a potential route, like Turkey might allow it, Serbia would allow it. The question might be Bulgaria, because, Poland doesn't want him going over, Ukraine doesn't want him going over, Germany, Austria doesn't want it, Czech. Okay, so maybe through Turkey and into Bulgaria. Like Turkey doesn't even have to be part of it. It could, maybe they would have to be. At any rate, it's an open question how they'll get there. How will Putin fly to Budapest? Says Anton Gerashenko. Many maps, memes, and theories have appeared about who might grant airspace, but in reality, the situation is far from humorous. And this is an important point. It's a matter of precedent. Formerly, in February 2022, the European Union closed its airspace to all Russian aircraft, including government and presidential ones. So if Putin is granted airspace and not arrested, it will be yet another confirmation that international law is not functioning. Putin is forbidden yet allowed for the sake of the greater good. Putin gets what he wants. So Putin applies this same logic to Ukraine and beyond. Hybrid war? Sure, why not? Aggression? Why not? Annexation of territories? Why not? And so on and so on. Yeah, so this is a real problem that the international community is going to have to wrestle with in Europe. Okay, meanwhile, the European Parliament is still trying to get off of gas imports. Now, they stopped coal imports in 2025 and got down to 3% oil imports in 2024, and they're down to 19% oil or gas imports as of 2024, but they're still almost 20% from, So what's going on? Well, they have a plan in the works to get off of it in like 2 years, something like that. So that's where the European Union is. All right. Meanwhile, in Washington, the Ukrainian delegation came out to personally thank a group of protesters that have been tirelessly in front of the White House since the first days of the full-scale invasion. I'm showing you this because this guy back here, I want to show you this guy. This guy shaking hands here. This guy's a rock star. I've seen him almost every day on X, like saying, come out to, like, this is the guy that we're talking about. Okay. And tirelessly, good morning. Join us in Pennsylvania Avenue and 17th Street Northwest, according from the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. And they're for that protest. Yeah, he's been out there like every day. So good on you, dude. I mean, good morning here. Yeah, same guy. Okay. Meanwhile, RT is gloating about Trump's crawfishing. Crawfishes go backwards, so that means that he's backtracking on Tomahawk missiles. Not on today's menu. Zelensky gets roasted chicken and salad. Yeah, so they're gloating about it. Now, other news that's not related necessarily, Trump talked about in that same meeting earlier today. It was kind of weird, got in the conversation about destroyed a drug smuggling submarine near Venezuela. Okay, I mean, there's that. And then in Venezuela, a naval landing ship ran aground, partially sank during exercises simulating a U.S. invasion. So I guess the simulation worked out pretty well because that ship probably wouldn't last all that long if it was going to take on the U.S. Navy. India starts buying oil from Exxon. Replacing Russia, Indian refineries have purchased 4 million barrels from Guyana through U.S. company ExxonMobil, with deliveries set to begin in early 2026, according to Reuters. This move deals a blow to Moscow's position as India is one of Russia's largest buyers. New Delhi appears to be diversifying its imports amid pressure from the U.S. to stop funding the war. So that's a positive sign. And then just a couple of humorous things. Darth Putin was half expecting Zelensky to arrive in D.C. wearing this suit. Yeah. Okay. It's funny. It's AI generated. He's cards on the suit. Okay. And then Trump getting tough with Putin. Like if you think it's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't fault you for that. It just feels like this video, like that this truck is about to ram into this pylon and it's coming and it's coming and it's coming and yeah, and it just never seems to actually get there. That's the best metaphor video I can think of for what's just happened. All right, my friends. Well, that's all that I have for this video. Thank you for listening to me about this. And if you want a more comprehensive overview, go back to the last video. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.